This is like the original recipe that my grandmother wrote to me. Hope this will do, Granny Haynes. So very long ago. And my favorite part is she used 3 eggs. No, 2 large or 3 small eggs. And butter. See what it says? Butter the size of an egg. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to separate 2 eggs because I'm going to make meringue in the big bowl. And I only use 2 eggs. And this is for the chocolate pudding recipe that is to make a chocolate meringue pie. I did that wrong. It's alright. No harm, no foul. They make nice little egg separators, but if you just la la, you can actually use the egg shell. So I've got my eggs separated. I'm going to set those aside. I'm going to take my saucepan, and in my saucepan I'm going to use about 3 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa. For the chocolate flavor. And then I'm going to use about the same amount of flour as I did cocoa. About 3 heaping tablespoons. And this is going to help to thicken it. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt, or what I believe to be a teaspoon of salt. Salt in chocolate pudding? Why, yes. Yes, indeed. Okay, so that's 3 tablespoons of cocoa, 3 tablespoons of flour, a teaspoon of salt, and put that down in there. If you put your cup in, you're less likely to spill it. Who just loves spilled sugar? Nobody. That's who. Let's use a whisk. Love a wire whisk. And we're going to mix all that around. And all of those things mixed together. The cocoa doesn't like to be mixed with water very much. So I am now going to add just a little bit of water and stir that up. Kind of just get it mixed together a little bit. So I put enough water in it to have a mixture that's going to look like this. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 cups of milk. I hope.
2 cups?
Yep. Put in 2 cups of milk. So we get 3 tablespoons of cocoa, 3 tablespoons of sugar. 3 tablespoons of cocoa, 3 tablespoons of flour, 1 cup of sugar, and 2 cups of milk. And now we're going to turn the stove on. So this is what it looks like on the stove. It's going to take it a few minutes to heat up, and then it'll start to thicken up. And once it starts to thicken up, I'll show you what it looks like. It's kind of like chocolate gravy at this point. But it's not. It's pudding. It's your basic pudding recipe. If you do this recipe, you can do the same thing without the cocoa and use it to make classic banana pudding with vanilla wafers and bananas. You can also just make vanilla pudding if you like, or add any flavor to it. This is a basic pudding recipe. There are 3 more ingredients that are going to go into this, but first we've got to wait for it to thicken up. Okay, so it's been on here for several minutes and it hasn't really started to boil. Something that's really important with this is you cannot put this on your stove. It's starting to thicken. You cannot put this on your stove and walk off and go watch a soap opera, okay? This is pretty much a stirring continuously, especially once it starts to heat up, because otherwise it's gonna stick, and you're gonna make lumpy pudding, and nobody loves lumpy pudding. Okay, we'll be right back. As you can see, it's getting pretty thick. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring it over, take it off the burner, and then I'm gonna try to juggle, because I have 2 eggs right here that I'm gonna beat up a little bit. 2 egg yolks, it's the yolks only. And then once I have them beaten up, I'm gonna take some of this hot pudding and slowly put it into the beaten egg yolks, because if you don't, if you were to just pour this into the pudding, you would have scrambled egg yolks in your pudding. So I think that's called tempering. So I'm going to temper the eggs by warming them up with the hot pudding. So we poured, and you pour the pudding in really slow and change the temperature of those eggs. The other thing was I had these eggs sitting out for a little while, so they were kind of closer to room temperature. And once you've done that, then you can take your egg and pudding mixture and pour it back into your pudding. At this point, we have set the pudding back onto the stove, and I've set it down on low. We're going to let that cook a little bit to kind of cook that egg mixture into it. And most recipes will tell you to use a teaspoon of vanilla. That's probably more at a tablespoon. I like vanilla, and the thing is, the vanilla goes in last, because if you keep the heat going, you're going to cook that vanilla flavor right out there. Well, close to last. I've still got to put an egg-sized piece of butter in this stuff. All right, so here's my egg-sized piece of butter. So I put the butter in, and let's do this. Come here. It looks about the same. I don't know if it's gonna thicken up nicely, or I never know. Sometimes it gets runny, it stays runny. But you can leave it on here a little bit longer, but you definitely want to stir continuously. We have the pie crust over here ready to go. And the only thing that's left after making this is making meringue. It's doing really good. I'll show you in a second. But I'm going to put 1/2 of a cup of sugar. And you got to go really slow. Meringue is not my strong suit, and slow is not my strong suit. So I had it whipped up pretty good. I don't make the... Oh, shut up. I don't make the prettiest pies in town, but I can guarantee you they'll be worth eating. They may not look pretty, but they'll be yummy. So, we got we're going to take chocolate and there it is with chocolate. There's for whoever gets to lick the bottom. And then we're going to take this meringue, and I'm going to put it on that chocolate pie, and we're going to stick this back in the oven. So here is the meringue. Looks pretty good. And there's the chocolate pie. I'm going to put the meringue on the chocolate pie and try not to make a mess. I usually take pretty good sized dollops. Good Lord. I almost missed the whole pie. Kind of spread them out a little bit so you can spread the meringue. My grandmother's meringue always made the prettiest peaks. I'm telling you, I make some ugly pies, but they taste good. So I guess that's what the important part is, right? Okay, so as far as meringue goes, my peaks, they're not real high peaks. I don't have the secret to that. But anyway, we're going to pop this in the oven and brown the meringue. And then a chocolate pie will be ready to eat. This is what it looks like when it's done. And nice brown meringue. And it needs to cool real good, and it'll be ready to eat. Yummy. When I cut it, I'll make a video. So here it is, the end result. It is not beautiful, but I promise what it lacks in beauty, it makes up for in taste. I make some of the ugliest yummy pies you ever did have. Looks like breakfast to me. Yum. Hey guys, so if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell. Ding-a-ling. Get future notifications. Thanks.